is that it's looked at all those tweets saying it's Nick Clegg's fault, it's decided that's negative. This kind of tool doesn't really do irony, so we're going to be using it later, but we're going to be stripping out the Nick Clegg's fault tweets to try and get a broader message from Twitter. If Twitter really matters, is it just the Liberal elite? Does it tell us anything about reactions to the debate? We'll be keeping an eye on it later.
Rory, thanks very much. This is one statement that probably won't be on Twitter immediately. They will want to make sure it gets on the mainstream media first. That is a statement we're expecting from Nick Clegg very shortly, saying that he did not do anything wrong financially. He did not do anything wrong financially. That is his denial of accusations that Rory was referring to there, appearing on the front page of the Telegraph today about payments made by Lib Dem donors that came to Nick Clegg that went into his personal account, although he insists that they went out to pay for one of his staff wages. So just that clarification, that fervent denial from Nick Clegg, the Lib Dem leader, that he did not do anything wrong financially. We shall get a little bit more on that, but right now I want to take you back to some of the atmosphere building, and we can cross to Professor Jeff Beattie. Jeff Beattie, we talked last week. I know you were a Big Brother psychologist. I'm wondering what the Big Brother psychologist makes of what you've seen in the past 7 days.
What I've seen in the past 7 days is extraordinary. I thought Clegg outmanoeuvred the other two last week. That's why he's been the subject of so many attacks in the last week. He allowed the other two to do what you might call a kind of alpha male dominance display. He stepped to one side. The position he was in physically on the stage helped enormously because it allowed him to step to one side and kind of bracket the other two together, almost as if he was on the side of the viewer, and that, of course, allowed him to build an excellent relationship with the audience, and that's why he's come across as being so different to the other two. So I thought he just outmanoeuvred them completely.
Jeff, there's a limit to how long you can keep doing that for, though. I mean, 90 minutes at a stretch last time. Is he really going to do it for the full 90 minutes again this time?
Well, it'll be fascinating to see, and of course, the fact that he's under more pressure this week could work either way, because if he comes across really well tonight again, I think the fact that he's been under such persistent attack this week, I think that could make him look incredibly good, because what do we want from all this? The Labour people keep saying what we must remember is about style versus substance. I don't really think we can make that distinction so easily, because I think what we're looking for in a leader is someone who's flexible, adaptable, good under pressure. And I think that the fact that Clegg's been put under more pressure in the last few days, and if he responds in the right kind of way, could make him look incredibly good.
Jeff Beattie, very interesting to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us from Manchester. Whatever happens, these debates have created an enormous amount of excitement and allowed, the leaders would say, for them to talk directly to the public. That certainly appears to be happening. Plenty more to come at 6 o'clock with George Alagiah. Right now, the weather with Louise Lear. Louise.
Thanks there, Emily. Well, we really have seen a contrasting day today with plenty of cloud, a few showers across Scotland and a colder feel to things. But further south of that, under lighter winds, clearer skies and quite a pleasant day today. But under those clear skies through the night tonight, a touch of frost will form in rural spots and it is going to be quite a chilly night to come. A ribbon of rain will filter in from the west and unfortunately some snow as well to higher ground in Scotland. A cold, miserable night here. Temperatures around 1 to 5 degrees, obviously just below freezing in rural areas. But we will start with these contrasting conditions continuing. The cloud and the rain, a disappointing cold start and a cold day generally in the far north of Scotland. Some cloud and rain sinking out a little bit further south. Elsewhere, clear skies prevail, light winds continue and those temperatures will climb up to highs of 17 degrees, 63 Fahrenheit, 6 to 9 across the far north of Scotland. If anything, getting a little bit warmer as we move towards the weekend with temperatures in the southeast reaching the low 20s, that's the mid 70s.
It's all to play for. Gordon Brown, Nick Clegg and David Cameron are set for the second prime ministerial debate here in Bristol. Riding high last week, now they're under attack. The Liberal Democrats say they've been smeared.
I think I must be the first politician who's gone from being Churchill to being a Nazi in under a week.
The key question for the debate, can Labour and the Conservatives gain the initiative?
Confidence about tonight, Mr. Cameron?
Looking forward to it.
I plan to focus on what I think are the big challenges for the country and show that I've got the answers.
The leaders debate foreign affairs. Will be gauging the voters' views in a town that's paid a high price for the war in Afghanistan.
For someone like where I'm from, and that it would be a big political opinion if we had parties coming and talking about how they're going to help the armed forces.
Also on tonight's programme, as thousands of people remain stranded abroad, Ryanair backs down over reimbursing passengers and says they will pay up.
We have an example already of someone who's paid us a €9 airfare has submitted a claim for €800 in hotel and meals. I think that does expose how ridiculous this legislation is.
Heartfelt apology. The Catholic Church in England and Wales says there are no excuses for the child abuse scandals that have hit the church. And the 8-year-old diabetic misdiagnosed with swine flu who died after staff failed to send an ambulance.
And coming up in sport, there'll be no European football for Portsmouth next season. They've lost their appeal for a place in the Europa League despite the fact they're in next month's FA Cup final against Chelsea.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC's News at 6. We're in Bristol, where in the building behind me, Nick Clegg, David Cameron and Gordon Brown will go head-to-head in the second prime ministerial debate. The first one changed the shape of this election campaign, with opinion polls indicating a surge of support for the Liberal Democrats. That's put its leader, Nick Clegg, under the spotlight, as opinion polls show that he is now the one who's out in front in the opinion polls. The other leaders, David Cameron, Gordon Brown, well, they face their own challenge. Can they regain the initiative? Our first report is from our political editor, Nick Robinson.
What a difference a week makes. Nick Clegg has gone from bit player to centre stage since that first prime ministerial debate, a move that's made him a target for the press and for sympathy.
I've gone from being spoiling my ballot paper, so to speak, to actually considering voting for them for the first time.
And that despite a string of anti-Clegg headlines in the morning papers. Welcome to the big time. This is what Nick Clegg gets for having lit up this election campaign. Suggestions that he thinks the country's obsessed with the war, that his own private bank account has taken money from donors, and that he's wobbled on the war in Afghanistan. Does it make people question their support for him, or make them wonder whether the establishment's in a panic? The Lib Dems' critics say that their leader is now simply facing the scrutiny long endured by Gordon Brown and David Cameron.
Any suggestion I did anything wrong is out of order, and I'm going to publish the figures to prove it. I mean, more generally on all the headlines, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of people who want to stop change, of course. I think I must be the first politician who's gone from being Churchill to being a Nazi in under a week.
When tonight's debate gets underway, Nick Clegg will no longer have the advantage over his rivals of being the new face in town. Gordon Brown is waiting impatiently for this election, for these debates, to focus on what he says really matters, issues of substance.
If you're having a battle about style, or if you're having a battle about presentation, if you're having a battle about how people reply and the way they say things and all that sort of thing, that's one thing. But you've also got the issues that come through from the debate. And I think at the end of the last debate, people concluded that the major issues that concern people were about the economy and public services.
David Cameron wants to put a nervy first performance behind him.
Confidence about tonight, Mr. Cameron?
Looking forward to it.
And to win back the mantle of being the candidate with the energy to bring about change.
I think everyone was nervous in that debate, and I love doing public meetings. You've seen me out on the campaign. I love talking to people, answering their questions, being as close and direct as possible. And I think that's the key to these debates, is just try and do what you normally do and forget about all the hype.
Today, rather surprisingly, Labour's Peter Mandelson leapt to Nick Clegg's defence and hinted dark